my name is Woody. This is Change in the House of Pods, a podcast about Deftones. Today, we will demonstrate the effects of tequila on a podcast with my guest, Andy Diaz. Andy's been listening to this podcast since it started. We've kicked it at Diaz a couple of times, at Crosses in Dallas sometime after this conversation was recorded. We got drunk together. Andy's a good dude, and he loves Deftones. And he's got some strong opinions about him. And even though his audio isn't great, it sucks, frankly. I would encourage you, just stick with this conversation despite the sound. We're going to hit some good stuff. Andy's seen Deftones plenty of times. He's traveled to see Deftones. He's a musician, and he's studied Stef's playthroughs. So we're going to spend a chunk of time talking about Stef here today and his playing and a whole lot more. If the audio really is a problem for you, I don't know, maybe you should have some tequila. Just saying. This is my conversation with Andy Diaz. Hey, I'm going to open my bottle of tequila right here. You're drinking the Phantom Bride. I'm not drinking beer on a weekday. Mostly because I worked out today, and I'm trying not to drink beer on weekdays. Do you know anything about? You drink. Appreciate it. Do you know anything about tequila?
Not a whole lot, like especially this one right here. They told me it's a sipping time of this añejo.
Right. I mean,
I
that's
don't
about
know.
as much as I know. Well, good. We're gonna be off to a hot start. A bunch of people who don't know shit about tequila having a tequila review, but let's fucking do it anyways. I'm I'm gonna I know it's
Can
a
you see
sipping
it?
tequila, but I'm gonna pour a little shot first.
Shout out to Mama Cassie. She was the one that said, yeah, like put it in ice and whatever. And I'm just like, all right, cool, I'll try that.
Yeah, I got a little bit of ice. I'm gonna drink a little bit of ice, but this first one I'm just gonna.
I had it in the fridge before, and someone like, why do you have it in the fridge? And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, this first one, happy birthday, man. This first
Oh
one's for
yeah,
you.
it was like 2 days ago. And the thing about me, I'm kind of weird when it comes to birthdays. I really don't care for birthdays. And a friend of mine named Anthony, he texted me like, "Why'd you get off your Instagram again?" And I didn't even tell him. So when he hears it, he's gonna be like, "Dude, what the fuck?"
Did you just pop off because it was your birthday and you didn't want anybody
Yeah,
to say happy birthday?
yeah, pretty much. I don't. That's just how I am. But when I
That's
came
funny.
back on, like there was a couple people that said happy birthday, and like they didn't even know I was off. So I appreciate the love. But yeah, so go
You did a
to
good job.
for trying it. Okay. She said keep drinking it. Like the more you drink it, the better it tastes. I'm all right.
That's the way it is with any liquor.
Yeah, actually it is. Touche. That's a good point. Yeah.
I like it
How
though.
are
It's
you, man?
tasty. I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between this one and the last one, but I'll tell you that I
I
like it.
heard it was the same,
It's
but I don't know
smooth.
either. I never tried it.
You didn't try the first one?
No.
Yeah, Miguel hooked it up. He sent me a
Hopefully
bottle.
someone has it and they'll sell it to me, you know.
I'm sure it's sitting around there. A couple of people asked me after I posted when I got it, like when I got the bottle, they were like, "Are you gonna wait a year and sell it?" And I was like, "Damn, that's a good idea." but I was like, "Nah, man, I'm drinking this baby. I didn't get it to just look at it." It was the same thing with the weed too. It was like, I'm not gonna not smoke the Stef tone weed. Like, come on, like,
Right.
who's buying that box and just let? I guarantee you, no stoner let that weed go to waste. You know what I mean? Like, I'm drinking this. I'm sure
That'd be a waste.
somebody's gonna sit on theirs. Let them sit on it. It's sort of like, buying vinyl, I think, in some sense. Like, you could leave it in the wrapping for as long as you want, but if you really want to enjoy it, I think you gotta pop the tag, man. You gotta get into it. This shit is fire. I'm gonna be
At some
drunk.
point, I plan on doing that because I do have a lot of vinyl that's still in the wrapping, and I'm just like, I'm trying to become one of those people. You just have the power just to have it, but you're not even fucking playing it. I'm like, I don't care. But
To be
eventually,
honest
I'll
with
buy
you,
one
I'm the same way,
to play.
honestly, about vinyl. I'm sort of I'm not gonna say opposed or anti old technology, but I'm kind of like,
Analog.
man, fuck all that purish. Oh, it sounds the best on a record. And it's like, okay, for me, it sounds the best when it's in my car and I'm fucking driving fast. You know what I mean? Or like I don't know that I'm one of those people that really cares so much about the format. I'll still buy shit that from artists that are that I want to support, but 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna listen to it digitally. That's just the
Right.
way it is. Like all my crosses shit, even CDs. I'm sort of more kinky on CDs than I am on vinyl at this point. Like, because I grew up with CDs. That's what I have the most of is CDs, and
It's funny you
it's a
say
pain
that.
in the dick to fucking take them anywhere. But I
Yeah,
still
it's
want to
funny you
have
say
one. You know what I
that.
mean? Like I still gotta have. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because there was a guy who I met at the Crosses show. I don't remember his name, but he was telling me that the CD sounds a lot better. And I'm like, I haven't like bought it yet, but I plan on buying it just to hear the difference. And I'm kind of one of those nuts that will like notice the sound difference, and it drives me insane. Especially the whole left and right shit. And
Yeah.
like if you're not careful, like you're gonna miss something if you don't like pay attention. And which brings me to like as far as like Frank Tagada, like if you hear, I don't know if you heard any of the instrumentals that's floating around YouTube. You can hear a lot of his shit, if you pay attention, like especially Risk. Risk has a sound on there, like his keys in the background, which is whoever like put it together is a lot bit louder, and
Hmm.
I actually kind of enjoy that song without vocals a lot better than with vocals.
Yeah.
But that's just me though.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I feel like the easiest one for me to point to is when girls telephone boys, because you always
Like a
hear
live
him
video,
really in the live. Yeah, you always hear that shit like "Roo." You always hear
little
really
DJ
or
thing.
Butcher or you know what I mean, all that shit like that they do live where you really hear him jacked up. But that would be, and you know what? You're not the first person either who's said. As a matter of fact, Miguel talks about all the time. He's like, or not all the time, but
Him
we've
and I
talked
have
about it recently.
conversations about that.
I was like, yo, Chino should just let it breathe a little bit, just a little bit to hear, what the rest of the band is doing. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, that's my favorite musician of all time.
Whatever serves the
So I'm
song,
not really
whatever serves the
totally,
song. Yeah, so I think
totally.
we forget sometimes, like, oh, let them do this. Sometimes I'm sure they have back and forth conversations about that where they just like, nah, let's do this, do that, and then sure enough, there's a compromise and they both agree on what sounds good. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
funny because there's a video of Stefan talking about um, Kim, no, not Kim Jack, but Mean,
Okay.
where him and Chino went back and forth with the song Mean. And so if you ever hear the original Mean, which is it's on that Bob, I forgot his last name,
Yeah.
that
Bob
one producer they had.
Ezrin. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you hear that one, you can hear how Mean was supposed to sound like versus the way it's on the record. And that's very interesting. Like I have a knack for that. It's like I'll go deep in the rabbit hole when it comes to songs. Like wow, what could have been.
Totally.
But that's
And a lot of people feel that way about Saturday Night Wrist and the Ezrin versions of the song, or at least like if you find your way deep enough into the rabbit hole where you're like, all right, checking out what Deftones fans think, and they're like, the fucking Ezrin version is Saturday Night Wrist. It's amazing. Got to hear that shit. To be honest with you, I can't think about what that sounds like. So now I'm definitely gonna go check it out because me is for me a little bit of a sore thumb in the catalog. Like I just don't fuck with Serge Tankian's part. Like I just don't.
okay.
Like it just sort of it's the like if anybody was ever like, what's the Deftones song that you don't like? That would be the one that would come to my mind first, because the universe takes me out of the song. You know what I mean? It just does. So I would
It
be
could have
interested for
been
sure
taken
to.
out. It was kind of random. It could have
It
been taken
just
out, so it's a bit random.
it's
Um,
weird.
that
It's weird.
I used to like hear that song a lot, like heavily, and then eventually I stopped. Like, yeah, it's one of those songs that got overplayed, and I'm like, that's a skippable song. You know what I mean? I skipped that song completely.
When did you get into Deftones? We haven't really talked. It's kind of cool because now that we've gotten to know each other, we still really haven't dug into you. I think subconsciously or maybe consciously, I was more kind of waiting for the podcast for us to be able to like sit down and chop it up and really like record it. to talk about it, but we haven't yet. We haven't really. We've gotten hammered together, but we haven't
We had a
talked
conversation
about
about
like how you
Deftones.
got into Deftones.
Uh,
Yeah. So when did you get into Deftones? Do you remember when you first heard them, or what? How did you get introduced to Deftones?
Family Values, 2006.
Word.
That's when I first heard Deftones. I saw them live, and I was just like, "Where were you at?" You know, when I needed, like I guess because I was listening to Korn the majority of high school, and 2006 was like the last year of my high school years. And I was supposed to be a 2006 kid, but I wasn't. So, oh well. But when I was in, first year in
He
high
said they
school,
failed my ass. I was like,
yeah, in a way, because Korn is fucking depressing. And I couldn't like. There was a time when I was like really depressed, and I'm like, I can't listen to this shit anymore, and so I put
word.
it to the side. And this was not like years ago. This happened like probably I want to say, well, actually, it was years ago. It was a time where I had to stop listening to like depressive music because it just made me feel bad. And Korn was one of those bands. But Family Values, that's when I got into Deftones, and I kind of wish they were either introduced to me at a younger age. And but we had a conversation on Instagram where I said when I first heard this band, I felt like this band was for me. Especially when you have the front man Hispanic and shit, right? So in a way, it makes sense. But I never looked at it that way. I just always looked at it as where was this band when I was younger or a bit younger. And after that day or that weekend when I went to go see them, I started, illegally downloading their shit and just put it on a CD, and that's all I heard for a while. And at the time, I was playing bass. So the first song I learned, which cliche to say, with my own summer, that bass line, the simple bass line that rides behind Stefan's, riff. And I don't know who thought about that. Either Stefan thought about it or Cheese thought about that part, but it fits perfectly. I don't know how, even though it's not following whatever Stefan's doing. And because Steph is da 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 da, that whole part, but the bass is like, and I'm like, why? And how does that make sense? But it worked. Like
Had
my
you been
own
playing
summer
music
was
for a while then? Had you been a musician? When did you start playing music?
I want to say I was maybe 15, maybe 16.
So you were only a couple years into playing music when you first got introduced to Deftones. And then
Right.
immediately, so okay, so that sort of checks out. You were still really learning and looking to learn, but it also doesn't seem like that behavior has changed much either. Like you're definitely that dude that's always trying to figure out the songs and break down the parts. Like that much I can tell about you is
Especially
you're
with the covers that I posted on YouTube. Well, it started on Instagram and someone told me, just put it on YouTube. I guess, whatever. But yeah, I have a thing where like try to be a perfectionist when it comes to playing their songs. And when Steph put out those videos of playing the covering or not covering the playthroughs or whatever, and there was me and this one guy named Ryan. Him and I would go back and forth and be like, "Oh, so that's what he was fucking doing." It's that one fucking note that makes a huge difference in the song, and
give me an
and
example
it
of
kind
that.
of
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but give me an example of that. Like what's a song where you're like, what is he doing? And then you're like, ah.
I remember back to my own summer. When I first started doing the trivia band and the chorus part, I remember playing the chorus part a certain way, and then when I saw the way he put his fingers on the on whatever certain string, and I could never hear that whatever sound he was trying to do, but all he did was move that one. He moved down like a note, and it made a huge difference. I played that song wrong for like a long time, and it was just one note, and then I moved that. finger to that note, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, why didn't that fucking sound right?
So you knew you weren't playing it right for whatever reason. You
For a
you knew that
long
it was off.
time and I'm one of those, people that go to like I'll see a bunch of live videos just to see what they're doing,
Word.
and then figure it out. And but yeah, that's one of those songs. There was another song, when girls telephone boys. It's the same deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's like unless you play guitar, you want to know what I'm talking about. But it's like, let's just say, like, when you play like an octave, which is an octave chord, so it's pretty much you're playing. Let's say you're playing E, a lower E, but you're also playing a higher E. So you skip one string to play that higher E. Well, for some reason, you go below the E, so you play one note, higher, and it's just like those two notes just ring out together, and that's pretty much what he does. He loves those weird sounds. Um, and I remember that conversation we had with Head, and Head learned something from him, which I wonder where the fuck Head got that from. Because if you listen to a lot of the Korn songs, you can tell who's playing what. And there's a thing called an open ring where just you play the bottom strings, you let it ring out, and Head does that a lot. And then when you were talking to him, he said he got that from Steph, and I'm like, that makes sense because Steph does that. Steph, like, he's known for doing that, especially like 7 words. Before it gets to the chorus, he does this thing where he just plays all the strings together, like not even doing anything. It just rings out, and that's something that I'm like, little shit like that just impresses me. I'm like,
Yeah.
it actually incorporated to how I play. Like, I can't help but to actually play that now. So when I'm
Totally.
doing a tribute band, that's just something that I kind of picked up. Same way, I'll give you a perfect example. I have a friend of mine who used to be in Limp Bizkit tribute, and he could not play bass, the George Michael cover, right? And he
Right.
couldn't play. So I had to show him, and he couldn't get that chugga chugga part that Wes Borland does.
Mhm.
And I learned that by fucking playing Nirvana. Remember, you know how Smell Like Teen Spirit's like bam,
The
bam,
same thing to do.
bam,
Yeah.
bam, 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 and the chugga chugga part is important. If you don't have that,
Mm-hmm.
the song dies out. But
Totally.
Waves has that. Bam,
Yeah.
bam, 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 it
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
that in there, and he couldn't do that. So I was like teasing him doing it, and that's one of those things that accidentally just happened to be there. So that
Yeah.
comes with years of just playing guitar. You make them start picking up other shit. And I
I've
have
been
friends who will tell me like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know, dude. Just play."
I've
It,
been
it's
eager
it, it's
to I've been eager to talk to you about Steph because I know you pay such close attention to him and those little things, those nuances. Um, and it would be interesting to me to hear you sort of characterize the way that he plays and some of the just to talk about some of those things that he does, those other little things that he's doing that are sort of unique to him. Because I feel like we collectively, uh, while we obviously give him credit, we don't necessarily, I think, um, I don't know, pay enough attention to his songwriting skills and his composition skills and whether or not he's just rearranging the same chords or whatever however he wants to downplay he's not a good player. Like there's something about what he's doing that is extremely successful and maybe it's not one thing, maybe it's a lot of things, and I sort of suspect that it's just smart little things that he's picked up or maybe just likes. What kind of things do you think you have noticed as you've learned all of these Deftones songs? Like what are the things that you can point to that are like Stef things or things that you think makes Stef's songs or the way that he writes or plays like special?
Well, once again, the whole rabbit hole, because I literally searched and, went through YouTube looking at videos about Deftones, uh, and looking at the number one thing that I looked up is his gear, like any recent video about his gear, and and one of the things he always says is like the word he throws around is superficial, and whatever sounds good to him, and like everything you see is based on superficial. Um, the way the guitar looks, the way the pickups look, you know, there's a lot more to that, but to answer your question is, there was in the interviews he was very impressed by a thing called a power chord. Power chord is like three three strings just played together, and you get that. You know, um, the way I can explain it is like let's say the opening riff to a Metallica song, uh, "Sabbath True." You know, "Sabbath True." Bam, dum,
Yep,
dum, dum.
totally.
That's something Steph would hear and be like, that power chord is what kind of gives him that um, the idea to write on that. So if you notice like how he plays and whatever Chino is doing, whatever Sergio or Chi is doing at the time when they're playing these songs, the number one thing he does is play power chords, or if not inverted chords. Inverted chords is it's just the same note, but you're playing like excuse my ignorance. Um, you're playing the same note just a little bit higher, but it kind of just you're adding more to the sound, which I think is
Mhm.
very unique versus like playing a certain way. There's a difference between playing up here and then playing down here. So
Mhm.
you're gonna get a more of a resonant sound. So, and I notice how he plays, like especially 7 words. Like I've seen people play it this way, but when I hear him play it that way, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Makes perfect sense how you play that. And once again, I'll have to show you on the video to kind of understand what's going on there.
Yeah.
But I think he's very, uh, let's just say he's the ACDC of his time, because ACDC was like that as well. They keep it simple. Don't be all like flashing and shit, you know. And I learned that from Flea. Flea was the same way. Some people are flashy, but there's no style. And that I mean, from what he said in interviews, I don't want to like repeat whatever he's saying or put words in his mouth. But the idea I get is keep it simple. Um, and you're gonna have a lot of people be like, "Wow, what are you doing?" Versus fucking whatever Animals Leaders is doing, or Polyphia, or those bands like that where they have
Mhm.
virtuoso guitar players. I love those bands. I love what they do, but at the same time, I kind of find it boring. Not the music, but what they do is it's like, I don't want to do that. I just want to keep it simple and chug the shit out of the guitar. The idea just fucking chugs. And I'll give you a fucking good example. Fucking Meshuggah. Meshuggah's all about chugging. Like, if you hear
Totally.
the music,
I mean, they play a lot of notes, but you're right. You're absolutely right. It's chuggy
but
as
the
fuck.
meat of it, the meat of it is the chugging part.
Yes,
So I think,
you're absolutely right.
like, as far as when Diamond Eyes came out, you heard a lot of that chugging there. You heard that deep A string, and, I can't really describe how Steph plays, but from when I hear it, it's like he kind of evolved all the years by listening to different things, and you can tell whatever he's listening to. Because when he was first starting out, Metallica, Anthrax, Bad Brains, and I didn't know a lot about Bad Brains, but when I heard some of their songs, and you can actually hear Deftones in there, which is kind of like interesting. And if you hear the Like Linus, the if you hear that cassette or the album that came out at the time, there's a lot of reggae influence in there. And
Oh,
somebody sent me that video of that guy doing a reggae cover of Deftones, and I'm
yeah,
like, that's already been done. Like, go listen to the Like Linus album. You can hear
I
a lot
know,
of
right?
reggae in it. So I'm like, I don't want to hear that. It still sounded dope, but I just it's already
Yeah, I
been
know what you're
done
talking
already.
about. I know it's super fun. It's actually I feel like I saw maybe Dominic Garcia say, "Hey, that's what they sounded like when I was in the band."
Right,
I
right,
was like,
right. Yeah,
"Word."
that's funny.
I was like, "Word." That totally is what they sounded like. Dude, I love that. I love that idea of like Steph being like the Brian or the Angus Young of his time. Like the idea that he has, because that's when you said it as like, aha, I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I fucking play AC/DC all day, every day. Like, of course. I guess the thing with AC/DC is their songs sound so similar. Like all of those songs sound so fucking the same. Whereas Deftones songs are just much more dynamic, but the chugging nature and the nature of like Steph's sort of
That's my opinion. Don't kill me.
uh I think it's fair, bro. I think it's fair and I think it's smart. And I think that that's again another like way that we could point to the brilliance in it because you can't tell me that AC/DC isn't a Hall of Fame rock and roll band. They're the quintessential fucking rock and roll band. And then if you take the formula that has made them successful and you look at how Deftones have utilized it and like built on it, you can't tell me that this isn't brilliance. Like this isn't something that we
Simplicity
shouldn't
works,
go
man.
like, what did you say?
Simplicity works. Like keep it simple.
Totally.
Simplicity
Yeah,
works.
it's that keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, totally. So you got introduced in 2006, Family Values. Um, you went and you started learning their songs and devouring their music. Did they immediately become your new favorite band, or did it take until like Diamond Eyes came out for you to go like, yo, all right, this is what's up? Because that was, I mean, 2006. Then you had to sit for a minute before you got a new album. There was a lot of
4 years.
time to go backwards and to
Yeah.
catch up and all of that. Like that's so what happened next for you?
Well, I was still a teenager, so I was still trying to get through shit. So I remember listening to my favorite song at the time was Modest Blindfold.
Tight.
I remember hearing that because there was a lyric that he says, um, that's not how that lyric goes. I'm in love, you give me hate, or something like that. I think that's how it goes. No,
I'm not gonna no, I've had two shots of tequila on I'm there's no way.
well,
There's
there's.
no way
I,
I'm
I
gonna pull
remember
up.
hearing that song, and
I'll get my phone out, I'll bust it out. Yeah,
it made me angry. Let's put it that way. Because I thought he was talking about a female, and at the time, teenagers, heartbreak and all that shit. And
sure.
the Modest Blindfold made a lot of sense at the time, and I learned how to play that one on bass. At the time, I was playing a lot of bass. It wasn't until like when I heard Dominic that's when I started playing guitar,
Oh
and I
wow.
wanted to invest in playing and shit. So, but at that time, yeah, I did listen to a lot of the older stuff. But I remember Saturday Night Risk being my favorite album. Um, and Adrenaline kind of like really spoke to me because it was raw and heavy and shit, you know, especially minus Blindfold, like Blindfold. So I think that song by itself, like literally, um, describes the whole album. Like that's the song right there.
Word,
Someone would tell me like, "Hey, what song would you pick for this album?" I'm like, "Mine's Blindfold." It's raw,
word.
you know,
Yeah.
and it sounds very good.
That's kind of crazy. It was like Saturday Night Risk is my shit, which is, I mean, it sort of makes sense. It was the new one at the time, and but it's also like maybe the most in my
Steph,
I don't know, wild opinion. It might be the most opposite, I feel like, of adrenaline in terms of just sonically. How does it, how do you take it in? How do you experience it? Do you disagree? You think it's maybe closer to adrenaline
Oh, not at all. Like,
than a movie?
not at all.
No, okay, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
adrenaline is
Saturday
more
Night
like
Wrist is
angry.
yeah.
Adrenaline is more angry. Saturday Night Wrist is
Yes.
like dark. It's like it was like no
Yeah.
disrespect to them,
It's
but it was pretty
bleak.
depressing. It's pretty depressing.
It's
Like if you actually hear it.
it's no, it is. It's still depressing. It's still depressing.
Yeah,
When I hear it, and I mean, out the gate, it's like I hate my friends. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
The whole "is this what you want?" You know what I mean? Like there's rats, rats,
What
rats,
really throws
East
me off,
Side. Everything is
what
all
really
like
throws me
fucking.
off is Pink Cell Phone.
See, that's the only one where I'm like, hold on, this one I'm fucking with. That's my shit on that album. I love it. It's got a beat. I can't deny the boom bap nature of a song is just too much for me. I don't
That
care.
song is totally random. Like who I wonder who produced it. I want to think. Well, who produced that song though? I want to say
Pink
it
Cell
was
Phone.
Crip. Yeah, was it Crip?
Yeah, I think it's a crook beat, isn't it?
I don't know.
Boy,
You're gonna have
that's
to ask them.
gonna have to jump into that one. I'll look it up. Yeah, Pink Cell
Write
Phone
that in your
fucking
notes. Did you
slaps.
produce the song?
Um,
But I thought that was pretty random, man. I remember at the time I was with my mom, my sister, and we were in the car, and that song came on, and it got quiet. All of a sudden, you hear "Greasy Filthy," you know. I'm like, "Oh, gotta change it."
it's so funny. It got quiet. I bet it fucking did.
And then all of a yeah, the "Greasy Filthy" hand jobs came out. I'm like, "Oh, we don't have the clean version."
You're like boop, 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 the waves.
Yeah, yeah.
You like this one, Mom? I swear to God.
My
So
mom actually, she kind of like
she
as
fuck with
soon as I
Deftones?
mentioned Deftones, I don't know honestly, but as soon as she hears Deftones, like, oh, okay, he's gonna go out of town again. You
Word.
know,
Yeah, that's
she
cool.
already knows my whole deal. It's like, oh, haven't you seen that band so many times? I'm like, yeah. So
How many times have you seen him? No
that's a good
idea.
question. I
Yeah.
would have to literally like dig
Yeah.
and
I
try to
like that you don't
remember.
know. I don't know either. I appreciate that. I respect that because I don't know either. I don't know how many times I've seen him. I've tried to count. Maybe I've counted once. What I really want to do is put together like the inventory of songs that I've seen and shit. But man, I don't have
I
time.
forget sometimes. Like, wait, I heard this song before, and like, but where? And but the first time I seen them was in Family Values, and then like I think I saw them a year later, and I was on Chief's side of the stage. Man, that fucking shit was loud. I remember, I remember it. It was fucking booming and bassy. Like, who the fuck is doing sound? You know,
That
this is before
rules.
I even know what was going on. I remember it being loud and shit. My ears were just popping and shit. But
You
now
you
I think about it, who the fuck was doing sound?
Wedge.
But
You were on the rail though. You've always been that dude. You've always been the dude that's I'm gonna get up to the
I
front.
was close to the stage, but I wasn't on rail. Like I remember being on the right side of the stage, and keep in mind I was a bass player at the time, so like I
Word.
was on two side, you know. So I was just like, hell yeah, he plays bass, you know.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was pretty dope. I had pictures of that show. I
Oh man.
had pictures of that, and somewhere along the years, it got, you know. If I can only go back to my old MySpace account, I can just pull those pictures, you know.
Somebody get Tom's ass on the line. Where the hell is Tom?
Yeah. Hey, can you like go back to my account and reactivate so I can get these goddamn pictures? Yeah, but I remember like Chino always came to our side. For
Word.
some reason, he always came to our side. I remember that like vividly. Like he always came to our side. Like he was like, "Fuck that side, I'm coming over here," you know. And for some reason, I almost got into a fight, but that dude, like, he was having a good time, and he knew what was going on. Like I said maybe I was gonna fuck him up, but he kind of chilled and he was like, whatever. We shook hands and that was it. I was like, I recognized what was going on, and I wasn't trying to fight anybody either. I was trying to have a good time. I see what he was doing, and I'm like, all right, man, do your thing, but don't get all too fucking crazy and shit. And man, that fucking tequila's hitting.
You said what?
That tequila is fucking hitting me right now.
Is it hitting?
Yep. I took edibles before I got on here, so it can be a mixture of that. Anyways,
Just follow the yellow brick road, dog.
all right, I'll do that. But yeah, so I remember that experience. Being up front, that was my actual first show with seeing them up front. I want to say that was October of 2007. Because when I go back into like looking like when they came,
Yeah.
apparently they came earlier that year, and I didn't even fucking know about it.
Yeah.
But they came in October, got tickets for that show, and we actually went. But we went with a friend who had a curfew.
Oh, whack.
We had a friend, like I went with a friend of mine. She had a curfew, and we were like outside waiting for them to come out, right? And now I gotta go, and I'm like, oh, fucking peg. But
Be like, peace.
here's what it is. Here's what it. I could have met Chi. I could have met Tina. I could have met Steph at an early time.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and I didn't get to meet them till probably 2013.
Word.
That was like after Corner Open came out.
So you didn't see him in 10 or 11? Or did you?
Yes, I did. I did see them in 2010 when they came by. I forgot who they came with, but I remember exactly what Chino was wearing. He was wearing fucking red pants and a New York Knicks shirt.
That's hard.
Not a jersey, a shirt.
A shirt. That's hard. I don't think I've ever
And he
seen
was
that.
wearing red pants. When have you ever seen Chino wearing fucking red pants?
Never. He was wearing
Never.
red socks at Dia, and I was like, my guy's
Yeah,
making
I thought that
some
was
new
dope.
fashion choices. And I like that. I appreciate it. Because I mean, I'm not afraid to go there. Like this dude has always been a fashion icon in my eyes. And I feel like in a generation's eyes, he was probably jocked and copied more than most frontmen in the entire mid early thousands. But he always does the same outfit on a tour. It's the same one for the whole tour. And it's like, bro, you ain't
He
got to wear
has
the
that.
same
He has
same
that.
shirt the whole tour
He has that goth vato look.
for the last
You know
tour.
what I mean? Not in general.
With the,
He
just in
like
general. Goth
he
Vato.
has that goth
I mean,
vato look.
he's goth as fuck. We know that. We already know that he's
But the
probably
but the shoes, but the shoes is like the Kingstons. That's a fucking Chicano shoes. That's like when you couldn't afford shoes, you bought those
what's
at
crazy
the
is
time.
I only see him wearing them on stage though. Like
Yeah,
I think I
yeah.
saw him wearing some Jordans, like some Jordan ones not long ago. I think I saw him wearing some New Balances
Well,
not long ago. His
Here's
shoe
the thing.
game's off the chain. I know that, but I would think that it would be a lot easier to perform in, some exercises, some trainers.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. They're very comfortable.
A word?
Yeah, they're very comfortable. Once you break them in, they're very comfortable.
Really?
Um, However, they kind of break easily.
I was gonna say like ankle support, running around in them bitches. That doesn't look like the thing.
You would think that, but like I actually remember I bought some, right?
I know you did.
And I,
You were
I
running
actually
around in
wore
them
'em-
bitches.
I wore 'em to work.
Did you?
And there were times where I had to like run or do something, and they kind of split right in the middle because I don't know what happened. I guess wear and tear, you know what I mean?
Word.
But they're like $30, so they're
Oh, that's
pretty
not
cheap.
bad. Yeah.
That's not bad, but they're pretty cheap. So and they look nice. They're really, really nice. Like fucking Mr. Rogers nice. You know, so you have to wear them like once in a while. You know what I mean? So, and my dumbass wanted to wear 'em every fucking day to work. Like I look dope. You
They do
know,
look
and I
dope.
felt
Yeah.
silly for a minute. I felt very fucking silly. Like, am I really trying to fucking rip off Chino Moreno and but some dope ass fucking shoes? You know.
Yeah, they do look dope.
Uh, so anybody that wants Kingstons, hey, $30. You know, they're pretty dope ass shoes. Nah, the deal is Deftones, you know, Kingston. I would have wished I fucking pulled the trigger on those when they first came out, but
That was a
yeah,
one-time only thing, the Deftones shoes.
they better fucking do it again because I was sure fucking buy them.
I mean,
I believe someone has them on eBay, so hopefully they're still there and I'll buy them.
I'm sort of surprised that we haven't seen another version of the weed yet. Like the tequila came out again. I
Hmm.
don't know. I also sort of suspect, I don't know who is behind the tequila, but I sort of feel like potentially the that it's Chino behind the liquor stuff, the beer, the tequila, and Steph behind the weed. And I feel like, there was maybe just like less drive perhaps to keep the weed thing going versus the liquor thing. I don't know. I don't know.
There are more drinkers than smokers, put it that way.
Yeah, but there's more passionate smokers. You can be, if you're a passionate drinker, you're just an alcoholic. If you're a passionate smoker, you're called a head. You're called, that shit is real. Bro, you watch the podcast with Be Real. Do you know what
Almost every day,
almost every day? Do
almost
you
every
know
day.
do you know what Steph smokes?
Currently, he does this thing called a volcano, where it's like a bag, like a bag, a literally fucking bag.
Like a
And
plastic bag? Like a
yes,
Ziploc bag sort of thing? Okay.
no, like a plastic,
Like a trash
bag.
bag or some shit. Like a grocery bag. Like a
Well, it's
plastic
pretty
bag.
clear,
Okay.
and I think they call it a volcano. What they do is they put the smoke in there, and then he inhales. I don't know how it works. I'm assuming that he inhales the smoke, and then does his thing. But it's like I can't really describe it.
But
But
you don't
all I
know.
know that
So that's how he smokes. But do you know what he smokes? Like,
oh,
do you know
I'm assuming he smokes whatever B real is smoking,
word?
and that's B real is his own
It's
strain.
like the house weed that he provides to whomever's on the show that day.
Yeah, actually, there's a guy that they have who they call him the runner up champ, the runner up champ because he usually rolls their joints. He rolls like so many joints a day for them to smoke on the show. So let's just say there's like a jar. Let's just say there's 5 jars, and it's full of joints, and he rolls them up. So whatever strain they have that day, they were smoking on the show.
Word.
So let's say like they have B Real's insane strain, depending on whatever strain he has, and
Sure.
that dude will roll them up, and that's what they smoke.
That's
However,
hard.
Steph does his own thing. He has like a bag
Oh,
where he
word.
kind of like,
The
I don't know how that shit
dog.
works, honestly. But they
That's
also do
so
jazz on
tight.
the show. They also
Word.
do every now and then they'll drink as well. They have
Yeah.
this thing called the michelada that Chief Marine came out with, and it has there's no alcohol in it, but it has weed in it, like what's it called,
It's got like
THC.
THC, CBD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
THC drink,
That's
which I
hard.
really want to kind of
I
try
think I have
because
tried. I think if it's I don't know it's that one, but I know that they have their own line of like it's like a Cheech and Chong seltzer or some shit. I'm pretty sure I've had it before. I'm
I don't
I'm
know.
I'm really into the seltzers. I like the seltzers a lot. They help me sleep at night. Plus, I still live in
I tried
Minnesota
it,
where
but I don't really like it. It tastes like mineral water.
you're in Houston, right? Are you in like
Yep.
Houston proper? Like H Town? Like you're in.
East Town, yeah.
Have you
I
been to
live in East
Trill
Town.
Burger? Have you had a Bun B burger?
I have not.
Bro, you live in Houston, dog. Have you
I
been?
know,
Have you
right? You
been?
would think.
Do you
You would think I would try it.
have you been to see Johnny Chang to get a grill yet?
I live like 20 minutes. I live like 5 minutes away from it.
But you haven't been to get a grill. Are you
It's not
even
my
from
thing.
Houston?
I'm not that. I'm not that hood. I'm not that hood.
Did you call Mike Jones when he gave out his phone number?
Nah, I did
I
not.
did. I left a message.
He still has that number.
I know he does.
He still has that number. He literally took it back. I'm like, why? He goes,
Because I'm Mike
281
Jones.
330.
Back then, they didn't want me. Now, not so much either.
They still don't want me.
They still don't want me. I'm worried. That's why. Welcome to Trillburger.
Yeah, I'll try it eventually, but I mean, you would think I would try the burger already, but I don't even know where it's at, honestly. So I'll have to look it up and then go there and try it.
That makes me upset.
Hopefully run into Bombay
Dude,
if he's there.
he seems like
Because
he's
it's the
always
only,
there or always posting from there.
I mean, if he's there.
Bomb beater. That would be so tight, dog. You got to get up in there. All right. So, when did you start traveling to see Deftones?
Well, I started traveling for Chino in 2013, and that
Word.
was in July 2013. And there was not to name drop anybody famous, Gilbert. Gilbert was one of those people that did that, and it kind of made a few of us want to do that as well because he would travel to California, and you know the story. You know he knew some people, and that's what really started the whole deal because like I wanted to be like Gilbert, travel as
Word.
well.
Word.
You know, so credit to Gilbert because he was the one that kind of got me to wanted to do the same thing. Travel and see the band, and I thought that was pretty dope. I thought it was fun, and a lot of us kind of wondered what did Gilbert do for him to do all that? And now we
Stuck in
know.
penis. No, I'm just kidding.
And now we know after hearing the
Fellatio.
podcast. So,
Fellatio. He told me
so
himself. No, I'm just kidding. That it is really like it kills me that it didn't dawn on me a decade ago. Like, of course, I would love to travel to see my favorite band. Like the money thing is definitely the first like obstacle
we'll
that comes
figure
to
that out
mind.
later. We'll figure that out later. Fuck the money. That's how I
Yeah.
looked at it. Like I'm gonna be broke for a minute. But
Hey,
it was
for
fun.
real. That's so
It was
dope.
fun.
So where was the first place you went? You went to travel to see Chino to see Crosses?
No, it was Palms.
Oh, word.
Yeah,
Dude, that's so
Palms
dope.
at the fucking Troubadour.
There were what, 70 people there?
Yeah, like that fucking place is impossible to get into. And I got to shout out to a friend of mine. We kind of don't talk anymore. Well, I mean, she will always be my homie, but I haven't talked to her in a long time. And that's Michelle. She had an extra ticket for that show, and she gave it to me. She didn't even fucking charge me or nothing, which I need to pay her
Wow.
back at some point. And be like, hey, I'm gonna buy you a beer one day or buy you something just to kind of like. She got me in the fucking Troubadour, and that was pretty dope. And I saw Palms, and I was literally fucking like two people, actually like second row at least, And then I eventually moved because there were some people that I knew, so I went to go hang out with them. I have a picture for that, actually. So I'll eventually post that picture at some point and be like, oh, look, I
That's
was over here at a Palm show. Look at me.
that's so
Um,
like I mean, like I think about it even just in terms of this upcoming Crosses tour, which is the club tour and it's or the one that just kicked off. Um and like you were in Hollywood, which looks
Forever.
amazing. Like we gotta talk about that a little bit too. Like, but these smaller venues where we can see Chino, like where we can see our favorite musician, like
Up close, personal, intimate.
When you're in those situations where you're like, you could almost reach out and just touch them. Like that's why people fight to get to the front at a Deftones show. You know what I mean? So they can experience that energy and that connection. But when you already have that passion and you don't need like 20,000 people to get there, and you're in that small room and you still feel that energy inside and that's your favorite musician and you're like, fuck yeah, of course you should travel 50, 60, 70, 500 miles. Like do whatever you got to do to get there. Like dumbass. Like I don't know how I didn't figure this out as a 20-year-old. Like fuck college. I should have totally bailed on college and taken that loan money and chased Deftones around for fucking 3 years because it was 2001 and I should have done it. It would have been fucking amazing. But you know, it is what it is. I love that Gilbert inspired you to fucking do that shit. And then you fucking did it at that troubadour, that fucking.
At the troubadour, yeah. But
And of
yeah,
course,
that was
that
a
put the
really
fire under your ass, I would imagine. That was probably like, okay, yep, certified. This is it.
yeah, that kind of influenced me to do it even more because it was fun and Instagram where it was at. As far as Deftones fans goes, Instagram was the place, well, the app to before Facebook bought in and fucked it all up. Instagram was the app as far as meeting fans because I can tell you about this one Facebook group that I was in at some point, and that sounds familiar. I don't know if anybody's name dropped that group, but that was the group that was pretty much that I met a lot of good people on that group. And then eventually other groups, came along. But that
Mhm.
sounds familiar was one of those groups that kind of just brought everybody together.
That's tight.
But Instagram is where it was at,
Word.
because I'm
I
gonna
was
talk some
not, see,
shit.
that's just it. I was not on Instagram at that. I mean, I might have been on Instagram or had just joined, but I wasn't posting, and I certainly wasn't. I was definitely more on fuck other people shit, and I wasn't wasn't
Well,
trying to connect.
I'm gonna talk some shit, and I don't mean like disrespect talking shit, but I'm gonna tell it how it is.
Talk your shit,
You
dog.
know, some of these groups they have their favorites. They have those people that kind of run the page, and then that's cool. That's fine. They're doing their thing because they're keeping it entertaining. They're keeping it going. They're keeping it like people interested. But at the same time, it's just one of those things like I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be playing favoritism. So
Mm,
when that started happening, I stayed on Instagram. I met a lot of great people on there.
word.
Um, like
That's
I'll
so
give you
dope.
an example. There was a funny fucking story. I have a friend who I met over the fucking Chino site, and we're still friends today. The fucking Chino socks. This is
Dude.
before Deftones put it online when they were start selling them. I bought my Chino socks from Risa herself.
Oh, word?
Yeah. Remember when
That's
the Chino
hard.
socks was on MySpace?
Yes. Yes.
And I thought it was a fake account. I didn't think it was legit or real. But no, it was a real fucking thing. They were selling
Yep.
Chino socks on MySpace. And then eventually I found out that Risa was doing it on
She
Instagram.
was the one. That's so
He was
tight.
the
Oh,
one that
she was
hit up
doing it on
about
the
the socks.
gram?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I had
And
no
that's how
idea.
and that's how I met my friend Jasmine. Um, and her and I have been homies since the beginning of when that happened, that conversation we had about the fucking sex.
Bro, I tell
And
that when the first time I got to interview Chino, it was like the one thing that I could not wait to ask him. Like after we were done doing the recording, I was like, bro, are you selling the socks? Are the socks coming out? Where are the socks at? This was 2012. So little did I know, Risa was selling them. I mean, it sounds like she was selling because he was sort of aloof and he was like, yeah, I don't know, whatever. He didn't care, but it's probably because he didn't have shit to do with it because his wife was doing the shit. I should have been on the gram. Fuck.
yeah, but
Those socks are so
the
hard. They need to put them out now. Somebody
yeah,
be
they
in
do.
Reese's ear.
I'm gonna message her and like be like, hey, you doing socks again?
We need a sock renaissance. We need the socks to come back. It's the perfect time. They go so well with dunks, and everybody's wearing dunks nowadays.
Or Vans.
Or Vans for sure.
I actually started wearing like slip-ons.
See, the
And
thing is,
I don't wear slip-ons, but I started wearing slip-ons, and I'm like,
like
you
slip-on
know what would go
Vans.
well with this? Some fucking chino socks.
Yeah. See, I
Or the
feel
or
that.
the
That's the brown pride in you, dog. I like that. I respect that. I love
how does
that.
it go?
Fucking love that shit. Orale. I'm with that.
Charlie wearing.
Hell yeah, dog. Hell yeah. I
And
fucks with those socks so
that's
hard.
the bloody and blood all coming out.
But yeah, we're that's so
uh,
tight.
but yeah, that's pretty much like the whole Instagram thing. Like I was saying, like yeah, I met a lot of cool people on there. That's where it was at. Other than Deftones Familia, where we all connected there. We all pretty much planned things to do things, and eventually, like it became a thing. And then, pretty much outside of Instagram, outside of the group page, um, I met more people. I started doing my own things, and people were like looking at like, oh, this dude's going around, and it's the whole, the back then it wasn't even called influencer. It was just I was just some fucking idiot with a budget trying to like see Deftones, fucking front
Word.
row and shit. I
Word.
wasn't trying to do anything. I was just trying to have fun and see my
Yeah.
favorite band and see my favorite people and bad decisions later. And I'm just like, I had a great fucking time.
I think that's so dope that you were able to connect with Deftones fans like so early on. I mean, that's probably the thing that has made this podcast continue like to keep going because it's having the conversations is easy, but going back and like making sure that it sounds cool or cool enough if I need to help it sound better or whatever and putting it all together, getting it out. It's a lot of time and it's a lot of work. And I don't really like working. So it's like, were it not for the people that I know are passionate and want to share their stories and talk about the band or hear these stories, like connecting with other Deftones fans, it's it's second to none. Like it truly is the best. And I would venture to guess that because I'm in the Deftones Familia Facebook group now. I didn't join until the podcast started. I was never a joiner in the groups and shit. I didn't really ever start doing any of the connection until the podcast because I was just trying to share the podcast. But um, I think that if those groups suck at all, that's more a symptom. I hope a symptom of just Facebook sucking. Or like the same with Reddit. Like, in the past, especially the past year, I'd noticed an increasing number of just brand new ass people to the band that are coming in. And they were already on the platform, you know what I mean? But now they're in this corner of the platform. They're just in this little subreddit and they don't know. They don't, and it's it's sort of like when you have this
I
many
say
people
to
coming
that,
in, you know what I mean? Like some of them are gonna be weird. Some of
to
them are
that,
gonna
I
be
say be careful. I say be careful. And I was one of those people that was like, man, fuck these new people, blah blah blah. No, I met these kids after the whole pandemic thing happened, and I met these kids. They were in front of us. They were like wanting to fucking see Deftones, and that just sparked something in me. Like I forgot what it felt like to be that fan, to be like excited to see this band. I mean, yeah, I'm still excited, but these kids were there fucking early and hungry to see this band. I'm just like, I remember that. I remember being that fan, and I would never tell these. Now I'm just like, I welcome it. When I see these like kids that coming in, 16, 17-year-old kids or 18, if anything, um, I call them the TikTok fans
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's how they found them, and that's cool. That's dope. Even though I kind of make fun of them, and at the same time, It's just like don't be an asshole. Like tell these kids that hey, like be mindful. Like once that time comes, it's gonna be a lot of pushing and shoving. So you better
Yeah.
hang.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not gonna last. And that's what happened at Deal with Deftones when we first met. But I remember what it felt like being that fan. Like, wow, I'm excited to be here. And I remember it's like, don't be a fucking asshole and enjoy the fucking show. And remember to like, there's people around you who are happy to see your favorite band. And just for a while, it was just like, "No, fuck these kids." Now I'm just like, no, they're there because I was there.
Totally.
And there was this one chick that actually followed me on Instagram. She was right next to me. And then kind of found out like she's a teenager. I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, um, I don't want to be that asshole. I don't want to fuck up a band for her.
Word.
And which I got to give credit to this one girl. She told me I don't want to be around people who are gonna ruin a band for me. And I'm just like, that fucking stuck to me, you know, since she said that. And that was back in 2016.
Word.
Was it? Yeah, it was. I want to say 2016. So I've been thinking that way, like, don't ruin it for the next people or the next fans are coming up. So as far as gatekeeping goes, I remember someone was saying, this is why we gatekeep, because this is around a time where TikTok, where some of these new fans were, looking at Deftones for the first time and like, wow, this band's dope. And TikTok made Cherry Waves the, the new change.
I mean, it's literally like I think it's top 5 on Spotify now. I think it might be in their top 5. It's
I
up
believe
there.
so.
I know it's one of the ones that everybody loves, and
It still bangs.
it it's amazing, dude. Like it really it does blow your mind, and I love asking about what the new fans are into because it is so fun and surprising. Like because they have this whole catalog of songs to choose from. Like what
Well, why that song?
like why why that one connects first. And I know I feel like I have some idea, and in terms of Deftones, I feel like we all have some idea like what are the ones that like why it might speak to somebody. And it's fucking cool to know and to see when they're like, when it let's just say a 20 year old kid is like, oh fucking I love this thing about Digital Bath or whatever song, and you're just like, fucking yeah, I know that thing. Like that's just fucking great. It's just so special. And why you would want to be like, nope, you don't like it this way, so you're out. Like gatekeeping is so dumb. Hating is cool. I feel like you can hate, be a hater, but don't
But
be a gatekeeper.
don't gatekeep. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Be a hater for sure. We need haters.
Hate this fucking kid. Nah.
But I also love that about the like I don't want to be about around people that ruin the band for me. And I think that
hmm
there's I'm gonna I'm curious to know as more and more people get introduced to Deftones and more people become really passionate fans. And more people get introduced to some of the more controversial things that Stefan believes. Where
I
do
ignore
you,
that. I ignore it. I ignore it completely. I really don't care.
you don't
What
even,
was the question? What
well,
was
the
the
question,
question?
I guess, are you concerned? Do you think about like, what are these people going to think about what Steph believes? Or do you find, well, obviously you just said you don't even think about it. You don't even trip on Steph could say the earth is a prayer in a
Well,
triangle, and you could be like, I don't give a fuck, whatever. Just play that shit, homie. I'm with you. I mean, he's never heard.
no.
Go
I
ahead.
really don't pay attention. I really don't care. And I remember we were having a conversation, and you're probably gonna ask me why I don't like Race Against the Machine, and we had that conversation,
Oh yeah, we did have that
and
conversation. Yeah.
yeah, so I when I was younger, I was an angry kid. I was like, yeah, fuck the man. As I got older, I was like, the fuck are you complaining about? And that's how I look at it. So, especially that thing that's going on right now is funny to me now. But a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this guy used to be racing against the machine. Now they race for the machine."
Right.
And but I think at some point, um, but I try not to think like that because I try to think to like separate the art from the artist. You know, I don't care what Tom Morello thinks. You know, even if I disagree with what he thinks, but the music is still bangs. It still
Right.
hits, you know? So I try to think like that. And there's times where I'm just like I'll hear a Rage song and I'm just like skip, skip, skip because Rage was that band I overplayed as well.
Sure.
And it reminds me of how angry I was as a kid. Um,
And their political feelings are at the forefront of their music. So it's a little bit
in a
different. Like
way,
you don't have to like with Rage, you
agree.
would have to you with Rage, you definitely have to, I think, work harder to separate the art from the artist because
Very,
their art is
very.
so defined by their political motivation. Their art is about their political motivation, whereas Deftones are much more art for art's sake. And
They're not
with
political at all.
no, with exception to Seven Words, and I forget about Seven Words being a political song because
Kinda.
the seven words are
Yeah.
you have the right to remain silent, right? So
Yeah.
the song is about being a young kid who's getting or being a teen who's harassed and
By cops. Yeah.
so outside of that, I don't know if there are any political Deftones songs. No, none overtly political. But
I don't know what they are politically. At the same time, I don't care. You know, I
but
try to like,
you have to have noticed the number of people who have spoken out, especially disparagingly about Steph.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. The whole
That
flat Earth,
sucks.
it is what it is, you know. And I try not to like. I mean, you and I probably think politically differently, and I'm never gonna like, you know, not like you because you think differently than me, and that's the way it's supposed to be. You
Right.
know, even if like, you know, there's a lot of similarities that we have. One, well, we're friends. Two, we love a band. And three, we met in person. So there's like, I have no reason to like want to be like, hey, we have this differences. Therefore, I'm going to be like, oh, you can fuck off. No, I don't think like that. I try not to think like that. And
Word.
because it's a struggle because there's some people that will be like, nah, fuck that. You're an
Yeah.
asshole.
Especially like you said, because we met in person, like that barrier, like of having the internet between you and another person who doesn't share the same thoughts, especially in the world that we live in now, where people
It's
go to the
hard.
internet for the echo chamber. Yeah, like that's well, it's easy to get into that. It's easy to just slip into altercation mode as opposed to be an empathetic person. And that's the thing that really fucking pisses me off about what I see in terms of how people treat Stefan or how they talk about Stefan because of his beliefs. It it almost feels like they make him out to be a bad person, and I know that's not true. Do you know what I'm
No,
saying?
no.
Like
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
that's where it fucks with me. Like I don't care either. Like he could think, I don't give a fuck what shape he thinks the world is. Like I just want to smoke weed with him and listen to him play amazing songs that I love. He's written my favorite songs in the world. Like I can look past some shit, you know what I mean, for those reasons, but I can't look past the fact that I love him so much, and then I see people who shit on him, and I'm just like, that fucking hurts me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah.
I
I know
know that other
exactly.
fans are impacted in that way. Like I know, or if not in that way, just impacted in the way that like maybe they just fucking also don't dig what he's saying. And so they're like, fuck, this sucks. Like, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's,
that's the thing. That's the thing with people. It's like I think because the way things are now, uh, people are in recent years, people are like, um, let's put it this way. In the recent years, we were forced or pushed to think a certain way that we forgot to accept others no matter how they think and be respectful. Um, that whole flat earth thing, I don't know. But I'm not going to be all like, oh, you fucking retarded. No, I'm not going to, because at some point, because if you hear him talk, someone had told him about it and he thought, oh, that's pretty dumb, that's stupid. And then all of a sudden he did his research, because it's a bad word now. He did his thing.
You're right. Yeah, research is fucking. Yeah,
The
my
bad
own
word,
research is
right?
the scary part. Yes, I've done my own research.
But
That's the part that people bristle at. They go, "Oh fuck, your
I was
own
like, oh my
research.
God, he does research. I'm
You
like,
should
it's
trust somebody
important.
else's research."
Yeah, it's important that you look up shit up to make your own opinion. Um, and that's important because at the end of the day, you can't really um, fault anybody for thinking the way they do.
Yeah,
And I have my moments where I'm like influenced by someone, and then eventually I'll question it. Um, and he's the same thing. He saw whatever someone was telling him, and in that moment he made a decision. Like, this is what I believe. This is what I think, and you can't really like shit on someone for that.
no, and he's
And
also sort of brash about it, like the t-shirts that he wears. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
his
the Mickey Mouse
anti-vegan
one.
t-shirts or whatever. Like he's
I'm gonna defend the anti-vegan one. I'm gonna defend that one. I'm gonna defend that one. And it's not to shit on
me too. I'm
veganism,
gonna eat a rabbit right now. Hold on.
right? It's not to shit on anybody. There's a guy named Bart, and he has a thing called Bart's Barbecue. He's on the show of Dr. Green Thumb.
Uh,
Cool guy, and he does barbecue. And I was in California about, was it a week ago? Maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And I was hoping that he would do barbecue somewhere near where I was at. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to kind of like, meet up with him or anything. But if anything, I would have like told him, hey, do you have any more shirts? Because I'll buy a fucking shirt. But it has something to do with like saying fuck veganism. No,
it's that
he
dude's
does
barbecue spot.
barbecue.
Word.
He does barbecue. He barbecue. He's the
That's
one that
rad.
sells the t-shirts. So if anybody that wants to buy a 0% vegan
That's what it is.
a t-shirt, hit up Bart's Barbecue, and he'll probably have your t-shirt at whatever he goes to as far as selling his barbecue. And this dude is legit. I haven't tasted this food, but I really want to. And he has, follow him, look him up, Bart's Barbecue. And
My
if you want a
other
t-shirt, you have to be in California to get a t-shirt.
to get the 0%.
Yeah.
My other favorites are the titties shirt and the Titleist logo. Oh, you got it? You got the titties? That's
I'm
the
looking for it. Hold on, give me a
first time
sec.
I've said that on the podcast. Oh,
Titties.
you got the titties? Where'd I at? Yeah, that's hard. That's
I
hard.
have to have it. So
It's
shout
so
out to
hard.
my friend Anthony. He's the one that kind of made the design, and
Oh,
that's why
word?
Steph wears it. So this is
That's
his
tight.
logo on the back.
Oh, that's hard. That's
Yeah.
super
So
dope.
and I'll show you another one. I'll show you another one. You already seen it. Never mind. You
Is it
already seen it.
the mayonnaise one? That's the one that
Yeah,
made
the
the
Miracle
mayonnaise,
Whip.
the Miracle Whip with Stephen Carpenter? Hard, hard. They need to come out with that because I'm copping those. I'm buying those shits. That would
And
be
my friend
so dope.
Anthony. He at Atomic at Flat Dash Atomic. Hit him up, and he'll probably make you one.
All right, I'm gonna hit them up for sure because them shit's going.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Anthony, really cool dude. He's pretty sweet. I met him a week ago at NAM, and him and I got to, talk shit or whatever, talk about that, talk about Deftones, talk about things we're not supposed to talk about, and it was a really cool dude, and he literally brought me the hoodie, the Miracle Whip hoodie, and I don't know if you saw my video, but that
I
was
did.
based on a fucking joke that went too fucking far.
So funny. That's so dope, dude. I feel like an ass for not like being glued to the Be Real Dr. Green Thumb podcast because I love Steph A and there's just so much cool stuff that comes out of that shit.
He's only on there Tuesdays and Fridays,
It's just Tuesday and Fridays. All right. Well,
but
still, I think he's
I watch it every day though.
yeah, that shit's hard. That's so fucking did
Segue,
yeah.
segue. Now we can talk about crosses.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about Hollywood Forever. Them tickets dropped and you were out there. And I mean, I knew that there was going to be a tour that would follow um
Which they
Hollywood.
recently announced.
Right. Well,
They
for
announced it today.
even more. Yeah, the Euro tour. But
Yeah.
like I knew there would be a US tour to follow. But I didn't
I mean, how are you going to have a tour called Familiar World and not be a world
not
tour?
be around the world. I know, right? But at the same time, like um them first couple, them warm-up shows for the darker waves or whatever you want to call it, those Hollywood Forever
Those were
shows.
warm-up shows. Yeah.
They looked so dope though. They looked so dope though. Like call them
There
what you
were
want. They were
a
dope.
couple of mistakes, but we didn't care. You can make mistakes. Let's just say there were imperfections,
Yeah.
and that just made the show a lot better. So if Sean is listening, it was perfect. It was great because we were happy to be there. We were happy to see fucking crosses again. We were
Yeah.
happy to see him and Chino do his thing. And I don't want to be that person that, dick ride Chino Moreno, but Sean did his thing. Sean was control of the whole thing.
Word.
And I was expecting the whole full band. I was expecting a drummer. I was expecting a bass player replacement, and that didn't happen.
Right.
And back to, and I told you we'll come back to Greg. We'll come back to Greg. I told you that, right?
Yeah.
They pulled a Valves and Greg thing because Valves is only two people. Greg
Right.
is only two people. Crosses is now two people.
Right.
So they thought, why do we need all these people when we could do it ourselves? And Sean Bean, and I'm gonna pull a Kanye West thing here. Sean is a fucking genius. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sean Lopez. Like that dude is what he's doing is fucking
It's really cool.
genius. I give him a lot of credit for what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And
And
all Chino has to do is sing. Like they have that partnership where it's like you're gonna do the beats, play guitar, and I'ma sing. And those dudes been best friends since when? 1990, 1989, 1988, since Deftones first started, when they were doing, what's the name of the band? Far? They've been friends since then. Like, they know each other. Like, there's no denying that. So they know what's up. So Sean is pretty much like running the whole music, and Chino is singing and entertaining the crowd. And when we were at Hollywood Forever, I expected the full band, but it was just dope to see them two together.
you weren't disappointed.
I was not disappointed. In fact, I did it better. It was dope to hear Chino a cappella
Yeah.
singing their songs.
See, man, and that's what I think is so special about this thing that is happening right now for them. Like to make them a two piece. I mean, and it sort of
Why
harkens
didn't they do that sooner?
it sort of harkens back to all the way back to Team Sleep and to like the draw for any of these things is Chino. But now we're at finally a place where he is um so at the top of his own game and so in control of what he does. And Sean has created the perfect pocket for him to sit in and to do what he does with confidence. My question is, it's sort of also harkens back to the Team Sleep time, which is sort of funny because it's when you were like stepping into Deftones, is coming out of Team Sleep into Saturday Night Wrist. Um, we were nervous back then because this other thing was really fun and good, and Chino is still great. Is this going to overtake Deftones? Now I feel like we're in a place where I wonder, wow, this is easier for Chino. There's less overhead, or I'm assuming maybe it's easier because all he has to do is sing, like we said. He can really focus on one thing that he is amazing at and most respected and well known for, and Sean
I
can
think
sort
it's
of
easier.
do the rest.
I think it's very easier.
Is this his like retirement plan? Do we have to worry about like
No,
Deftones
no,
fading away
I
because
don't believe so. Um, I don't believe that's a retirement because we all look at it as because I forgot who you were talking to, but when there was an idea of them at what point when they would stop. I think me personally, they're at their prime.
word? Say that. Say
Yes,
more. Say more. You're talking
I
about
think they're at their
Deftones are at their
prime.
prime.
Yes,
How so?
like they can keep on going because
They
I
literally
remember.
just replaced a band member.
Yes, and I love that conversation you had. I forgot who you were having a conversation with, and there was a conversation where you were where Sergio and then there's Cheech Chang, rest in peace, Cheech Chang. You know, it's a different timeline if you want to look at it that way. When Sergio came in, Diamond was refreshing. Diamond was that album that this is not the same Deftones that came out with Saturday Night Wrist. This was a different Deftones. This
100%.
was a Deftones that, and I don't want to go into with Stefan playing the A string, because Ebro, we still haven't heard Ebro's, even though there's some songs on the YouTube, but we haven't heard that album,
Yeah.
which I would love to hear it. Other than Smile, Smile is a dope fucking song. And that's just the taste of it. Unless you want to like go down a rabbit hole and hear the rest of the album, which we'll probably never hear, and that's fine.
Do you think
Anybody that
so? Really?
yes, I'm okay with
You're
that
on the never
personally.
hearing. You're on the I don't think we're ever going to hear it side of the fence.
Nah,
Really? Even after
I,
Terry Date said what he said about I'm gonna
I
finish
would
it.
love to hear it. Honestly, I would love to hear it because I'm curious.
Because I feel like
But
if it was done proper, like if Terry Date was like, all right, hold on, let me just do my thizzle right quick, and gave it to Chino, especially at this stage in the game where they probably do have more confidence than ever and probably should be. Um, because I just like, okay, I sort of liken it perhaps to this Morning View 23 thing that Incubus is doing. Like they re-recorded Morning View. Like I would never in a million years imagine Deftones re-recording Adrenaline, for example. Even though it would be really cool because it would sound different and it would be fun. But I could
me
hear them.
personally, as far as Incubus goes, me personally, the only reason why they're re-recording Morning View is because that was the last album that was so great. Not to knock off the other albums because those are dope as well. But More Than You was the last album that was so
That
great
was great.
they felt the need to re-record it. Why?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to pay their
No, that's
fans
for yeah, that's the Taylor
the
Swift thing,
royalties,
the
the
ownership thing.
royalties.
Yeah, they're trying to get
Yeah,
that bread. And that's cool and that's great. But I also
and that's
think that
fine. That's perfect.
I also
The chick
I
that
guess
they have now is perfect.
the like going back part is more, I guess, what I'm alluding to, like in terms of like making that parallel between Incubus and Deftones and saying like I can't imagine Deftones going back. But
No, you
in
can't.
this case, I don't know that it's going back. I think it's unfinished business. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's not going back and retreading anything. We're not like unearthing anything really. We're fucking finishing this thing for the fans and for the Chang family and for for Chi because the world wants to hear fucking Chi. We want to hear Chi's last musical contribution to the world. It doesn't just belong to Deftones. It it might professionally and legally belong to them, but the love that we have for that person and for his artistic output for the world, that belongs to us. And we fucking need
Someday,
that shit. We need that shit.
someday, I believe someday they will release it as like sort of like a
I just changed your mind, dog. You just 5 minutes ago said I'm never gonna hear that shit. I just changed your mind. Get Steph on the phone. We're gonna make this shit happen.
someday. I mean, I like to give things a chance. So someday,
Because that's real, right? Like I know that it's raw and like they probably need to go to therapy to like sort that out and like figure out how do I go back to this material and touch this thing again that we worked on and all of that. But like, man up, put on your big boy britches, dog. We need that. You
I
know what I'm
believe
saying?
it when the right time is when it's the right time. They'll do it, and I will fully support it. I will be
I just
one of
hope
those
it's not
guys.
the end of the line. You know what
No,
I'm saying?
no,
Like, I just hope they
I
don't
don't
wait
think
till
so.
it's the end.
And I don't want to put anybody out there, because I talk to a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people, and I talk to the people every single day, and it's just most of the time it's Deftones related because that's how we met. That's how we know each other.
Word.
Fucking Deftones. And
Fucking
as long as we're
Deftones.
talking, as long as we're talking about Deftones or whatever, I've actually got to know people based on Deftones where now I'm talking to them about their lives and like, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Blah blah blah. And I'm a sucker for that. That's just how I am. I want to make sure you're all right. If I can make your day, that's awesome. I can't control that. It's just how I am. But I met a lot of people, great fucking people through Deftones, and I don't see this band ending ever. I mean, that's probably financially, really, honestly, because at the end of the day, they gotta do
Word.
their thing.
Yeah, you got to
You
eat,
know,
right? You got to pay the rent. You got to, and I agree because they're not, I mean, 10 million Spotify listeners doesn't equate to 10 million new dollars per band member or some shit. Like that's not how it works. Hopefully it does lead to more um
more records,
yeah,
m-
just opportunities was one
more
thing with records
tequila.
would be fucking more tequila for sure. Fucking more tequila. Which by the way, I just want to say, I'm a little lit. I'm not as lit as you are. I know that you're lit. I could tell you're lit because you drink a beer and tequila. He's like, I got it in my eyes. I know you do. You got it in your eyes, dog. See, I can't go too hard. I was at the gym today. I gotta go to work in the morning. Well, you gotta go to work in the morning too, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Soft ass motherfucker. You need to call in sick. Fuck that bullshit. Fuck them.
Nah, I'm
Fuck the
not.
job.
Knowing myself, I would not call in sick unless it's like fucking layover flight. Nah, I'm not doing that.
We're gonna jump to the final question, the rap question, which is a request for recommendations, as you know, inspired by Chino saying that the only reason that he tweets out links to songs that he likes on YouTube is because he thinks that's the best thing that he can contribute to the social medias, even though Deftones have blown the fuck up on TikTok and have proven that wrong. So, in that spirit, nonetheless, give me three recommendations of absolutely anything in the world that you think people should spend a little bit of time on. Go.
Mr. Bungle.
Mr. Bungle. Fucking all
Mr.
right.
Bungle.
Tell me where to start on Mr. Bungle, because I'll be honest with you. Mike Patton is
A
very
god.
dynamic. Okay. I'm not there yet on that. I'm on a lot for me, is what Mike Patton is. He's a lot for me. He's very dynamic. I don't know where to start with Mr. Bungle. I don't know where to start even with Faith No More, to be frank. So where do I start with Mr. Bungle?
California.
I thought that was a Chili Peppers song. Just kidding. Okay, California. All right, I'll give it a try.
California. There's a song called um I forgot the name of it. Something about they don't think we're robots or we're not humans.
Okay.
Um the very first song of the second album, the second song of the album what really hooked me in. And I remember Stephanie was talking about Mr. Bungle, and and anybody that knows, I'm a Stephen fan. So I looked up Mr. Bungle, and the first album that got me was California.
Word.
And I've seen this band twice already, which is fucking dope. But California was the album that really got me into them. But if you hear the first album called the first Mr. Bungle album that they came out with, uh, there's a song called Stub Hub.
Stub Hub.
That's a song. Stub Hub.
Okay.
Or Squeeze My Macaroni, songs like that. But California is the album that really got me into them.
All
And
right.
then I eventually branched into the first album, second album, and then like the demo album that they came out with that they had Scott Ian from Anthrax and Dave Lombardo from fucking Slayer. I saw them in Vegas. That was fucking dope.
Wait, who from Slayer?
Dave Lombardo.
Oh, Lombardo. Okay. Sorry. I
Yes.
thought you said okay. Got it. Okay.
And then my second recommendation, and I gotta shout out C minus for this one, um, Sign of the Times. Sign
Sign
of
of
the
the
Times.
Times. Fucking A.
Yes. Um, anybody that is a Prince fan that like Purple Rain, I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Listen to the other shit, because if you're a Prince fan and you only love Purple Rain, you ain't shit. So listen to Sign of the Times or listen to all the other albums.
That
Sign
is
of
some
the Times,
fucking Prince-esque shit to say, by the way. And I
yes,
support it. I
yes.
support it wholeheartedly. I support it entirely.
He has a movie. I think it's a Sign of the Times movie where it's a live video, which
Yes.
is fucking
Yes.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
My
Yeah. I've
favorite
seen that.
song from Sound of the Time is called "If I Was Your Girlfriend."
Uh-huh.
That song,
Jam.
it just hits me hard.
Fuck
That's
yeah,
a
dude.
dope fucking song. But what really gets to me is the fucking slap, the slap bass, the slap.
Mhm.
That song fucking hits hard. If I Was Your Girlfriend, and then
That's
third,
cool. That's really cool.
honestly, I was thinking about this before, and now I can't fucking think about it because Blame It on Tequila, a great tequila.
Blame it on the
The
rain.
rain.
Yeah, yeah.
I had another band in
Inside
mind.
jokes making their way onto the podcast. Fuck yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, that was pretty dope. Whenever This happened in 2015 in May when they were playing House of Blues. There was no fucking opener. It was just Deftones. How many people can tell you that it was just fucking Deftones?
That's
No
so cool.
fucking opener.
That's so
And
cool.
they were playing. Tino was doing his thing. He was just like singing Millie fucking Vanilli.
I just think that's so cool.
And Abe was playing the drum beat, and Tino was singing "Blame It on the Rain" or the other songs. What's the other song?
Girl, you know it's true.
Yes, girl. Yeah. So, yeah, he was singing that.
There's
And
another one too.
anybody who
There's
knows
another
yeah.
Millie song. I can't remember at the moment.
But yeah, he
that's
was
fucking
singing
tight.
that.
That's
And
that
so,
connection. That's that fucking thing. Like that's chemistry. That's that thing that um it's really fun when it pops out. It's really fun when they pause. It's really fun when those moments, those are the moments that like we make this Sopranos hand gesture to the gabagool hand gesture to. You know what I mean? It's like fucking yeah, dude. Deftones. Yeah, they fucking God, they're so cool. All right, sorry. I was that two? Was that three?
for my last one, I will have to say the Contortionists. They're pretty dope band. So, Mr. Bongo, who did I mention? I'm sorry, man. I'm drunk.
Andy, my dog. Thank you, bro, for kicking it with me on the record, for supporting this podcast, just for being a Deftones fan, for being a homie. I appreciate you. And you know the score. If you want to talk about Deftones, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Woodbruh, WOODBRUH. My DMs are open. Hit me up if you want to talk about Deftones. My name is Robert Nelson. My friends call me Woody. Thank you for listening to Deftones, and thank you for listening to Change in the House of Pods.